Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. Oh wait, this is the 100th Not So Serious video podcast. I should probably amp that intro up a little bit. Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the very special 100th episode of the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. All right, there we go. So I got a number of different suggestions from various people about what I should do for the 100th episode of the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. A lot of them just weren't feasible, either because I wasn't prepared. For example, what are the best outtakes from all of my videos? And really what I should do over the course of this year is, as I see potential bloopers and outtakes and things that you might get a kick out of, just save those little clips into a directory so I can do a big compilation at some point. Someone else said I should skydive 100 times. I don't know, not really applicable, I think. I don't think I could pull that off on a video. So I guess I'll just try and make this as special as I can. Really, up until a couple of days ago, I was debating a little bit whether or not this would be the final podcast. Just because, believe it or not, I'm running out of things to say. And I also then almost just briefly toyed around with the idea of announcing the end of Serious Keto. I thought about, certain celebrities or like athletes that retire in their prime, and or perhaps by choice or perhaps because they're injured. You look at someone like Barry Sanders or Bo Jackson, and you wonder what would have happened had they continued their career. Would that trajectory just have continued? And that's sort of what can potentially make a legend. Or a celebrity, an actor, a singer dies too young. You wonder what would have happened with Nirvana had Kurt Cobain not killed himself. What would James Dean have done had he not died in a car accident? And I thought, even though there's something sort of glorious and poetic about going out on top, it doesn't pay real well. Not that this pays us exceptionally well, but it pays better than not working at all. So I only entertained that thought very so there's a blooper there. I only entertained that thought very briefly. So instead, I kind of put together a little list here of things that I felt are a little bit of a looking backwards and a little bit looking forwards in terms of Serious Keto. And the first place I want to start, and I will probably end this place as well, is by saying thank you. I want to say a big broad thank you to all of you, and I'll say that at the end, which I always do. But there's some specific people or groups of people that I would like to thank. And hopefully you'll bear with me as I go through this. Otherwise, I suppose you can always just jump to the next chapter stop. I've had a number of you send me gifts, like actual physical gifts, be it food ingredients or things you wanted me to try, little kitchen gadgets to big kitchen gadgets. That VacMaster VP215, that came from one of my viewers. So thank you. That's super awesome. But even little things. I've gotten little spatulas and little, I don't know what, they're silicone covers. Instead of using plastic wrap, you just put it over the can or the bowl or whatever. Some big things, little things, it doesn't matter. What it tells me is that I must have done something that resonates with some of you, and you're willing to send me something in return. I've gotten anonymous stuff as well. Last week, I got this bowl from a company called Coconut Bowl, and it was just addressed to Serious Keto, and it's this cool bowl made out of coconut and a spoon, I'm assuming also made out of coconut. No note. I don't know who it came from, but it was kind of neat. My wife is just always surprised every time I get something in the mail. She's like, wow, people like you? I guess. Additionally, people that have made donations on the website. If you go out on a Serious Keto, there's a little button or menu item. I think it just says support Serious Keto or something like that. And the people that either, maybe they're channel members already and they want to contribute more, or maybe there's someone that they just don't want their money going through YouTube and Google. So it gives them a chance to just give something to the channel either on a one-time basis or repeatedly. And no matter the amount, that means a huge, huge amount to me. And I hope I've been successful at sending thank you letters or emails to everyone that's ever sent me anything. If, however, you feel that you've sent me something or made a donation and I haven't responded or said thank you, check your spam email folder. Because it seems like the email that I send, the address, tends to get captured by the spam folder an awful lot. But it means a lot to me from the money standpoint, obviously, because this is my full-time gig here and it's not paying GE money yet. But it also, very often, when I'm having a tough day and I'm thinking, is this really worth it? Is it worth the amount of time and effort I put in to this channel? And to get an email that pops up, even with a $1 donation, can be that thing that just makes my day. So thank you to all of those people. I'd mentioned channel members as well. Those people that want to get the perks, the special perks that I offer for being channel members on the various tiers. There's 3 tiers. And, I try and make it worth your while, but I think most of those people do it just because they want to help. They want to help support. And, one thing I need to mention though, because the perk that spans across all 3 tiers is advanced views of my videos. So for example, like this video, if you've got a channel membership, you're probably going to see this either Friday or Saturday, so 2 or 3 days early. I just posted a review of some different breads from Kiss My Keto along with glucose testing. That my members are getting a couple of weeks early. So it really kind of varies in terms of how early you get stuff. But what I've noticed is probably less than 20% of my viewers are actually watching these early videos, which leads me to believe that they don't have notifications turned on. And if I harp on this an awful lot, it's because there's a reason. I want you to be able to see my videos, especially if you're a channel member. I want you to be able to see them early. And that's a good thing oftentimes, because I will include a product or an ingredient or something like that. And very rapidly, whoever's selling them on Amazon, whether it's Amazon themselves or someone doing fulfillment by Amazon, those prices jack up. So in a way, membership pays for itself. I also want to thank anyone that ever uses any of my Amazon links that are always down in the description below. And I'll explain how that works just for those of you who may have missed it, and because I'm always getting this question. So if you click on a link from Amazon that's in my description, whether it's a specific product or just my generic storefront, you don't need to buy that specific product or anything from my storefront. But anything that you buy for the next 24 hours, I'll get a small commission on. It doesn't raise your cost at all, but I get like 2%. So if you're ever looking to buy something really, really, really expensive from Amazon, you can do me a solid by clicking on one of my links first. Like I said, you don't have to buy what's in the link. And finally, I want to thank the various businesses that I do partnerships with. It's sort of a mutually beneficial thing, obviously. I get the fun of working with some of these companies, these startups, for example, at a very early age in their development, like Chipmunk Baking, for example. It's been so much fun to be along for the ride on that. From little companies like that to bigger companies that have got a mission that I support. The whole metabolic health thing, I think, is such a big deal. And people are going to get more and more aware of it, I hope. So when you have companies that are very philanthropic and investing in diabetes awareness and metabolic health awareness, companies like Keto Mojo and Levels Health, I'm proud to partner with both of them. And then you get the bigger companies. You get Keto Chow, for example. And I know some people like Keto Chow, some people don't like Keto Chow, that's fine, whatever. They're good people, is what it comes down to. And I love Chris Bear and Miriam Bear, and they've allowed me to start working on a couple of flavors, actually 3 different flavors of Keto Chow for them. I've got 2 savory and 1 sweet that I'm working on. I've started working on the sweet flavor, and it is good. It doesn't taste like what it's supposed to yet, but it does taste good. So working on that. And then finally, Perfect Keto. And I know that people are kind of divided in their feelings on Perfect Keto as well. They have been a good company to work with. And they tolerate when I don't do what they ask me to do, and they tolerate when I give them a little bit of ribbing in some of my review videos. But what really meant a lot to me is they watch my videos, and when they saw me talk about my father-in-law passing recently, they sent some flowers to my wife Terry and me. I mean, think about that. This big company, Perfect Keto, watching my videos, caring enough about me that they sent me flowers. It's pretty cool. So, wow, that was a long thank you thing. I think Brett Favre's induction into the National Football Hall of Fame, I think he had a shorter speech than that, and his went on forever. Throughout my life, at various phases, I've kind of wondered, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Is there anything that I'm going to do, a legacy that I'm going to leave? There were times I thought maybe it's to be an author or a musician, or I don't know what. I had signed up for the National, bone marrow registry, thinking that, if I could give bone marrow to a child, if I were the right genetic match for that, how cool would that be? I mean, to me, that would be just super sweet. Of course, I'm an organ donor, but I got to die to make that happen, and I'm not in any hurry to get that to happen. There was a period back 2017, 2018, when I was pretty miserable, working at GE, and basically a slow motion heart attack, I think, or aneurysm or some sort of nervous breakdown. And at that time, I just thought my mission in life is to try and make enough money that when I die young, I leave something for my family. That's like literally what I thought my purpose was. I didn't feel that I had a lot to offer outside of what I could offer when I passed away. That's pretty sad. I'm glad that I'm in a very different place than that right now. And as I started Serious Keto, I started honing in maybe a little bit more on purpose. And because my personality type is INFJ, these people of that particular personality type, which is the rarest, they want to help out other people. They tend to find their way into nursing and the healthcare professions an awful lot. And what I wanted to do is, after I got into keto and discovered just how beneficial keto was for me, to share that message in a way that wasn't dogmatic, in a way that wasn't going to hopefully turn people off, but rather to get people excited about what you can do with keto, and excited in the kitchen, to make keto sustainable by having fun cooking stuff. And of course, I'm a big foodie, and I love to cook. So when I was creating Serious Keto, well, first let me back up a little bit. Finding a keto name that you can use right now in this day and age is tough. You need to find a URL that's available, and the email that's available, and it's not taken across any of the social media platforms, and get out and take a look at the National Trademark database and make sure that no one has taken it. And I spent weeks trying to come up with a cool keto name that wasn't taken. And I think at some point I thought Seriously Keto would be good, just because I was thinking in like Eric Cartman's voice, seriously keto. And that was taken, I'm pretty sure. Either on one of the social media platforms, or the URL was already registered. So Google Domains recommended Serious Keto, and I chose that. And in hindsight, probably not the best decision, because I think it has led a lot of people to believe either that I personally am a very serious person, or that I'm very dogmatic and strict on keto. And neither of those are especially correct, which is why after about a year of having the name Serious Keto, I put the little tagline underneath that says, Serious Cooking, Sensible Keto. I think in retrospect, probably a better name would have been Pragmatic Keto. And if right now you're thinking, ooh, that is a good name, I'm going to go steal that URL and all those social media accounts from Steve. Too late. I've already got them all registered, so I got that going for me. So maybe at some point I wind up changing the name of the channel.
Your garage door is now closed.
I don't know. I forgot to set my my phone to do not disturb. I don't know if you heard that, but my garage door is now closed. So getting back to then the purpose in life, to be able to turn people on to keto or low carb and metabolic health and getting rid of inflammation, to me, to be able to help people out, that's been the thing for me. And I'm so very privileged that I figured that out, and that then all of you seem to kind of come along for the ride. It means a ton to me. So thank you again. So along the lines of life's purpose, I started thinking back to what did I want to be when I grew up. I can guarantee you this was not it. But when I was a child, and actually probably for many, many years, I wanted to be a magician. I always loved magic as a child. I was fascinated by magic. I would go to the magic store and buy magic tricks, and I wanted to put on like a performance for my school. That did not go well, by the way. Someone should have talked me out of that. But I wanted to be some sort of magician, a street magician. And as I got older, and then David Blaine became the popular street magician, I'd look at that and I thought, oh, that would be just so cool to be able to do. There's another guy, he's got a lot of YouTube videos. His name is Brian Brushwood. He has all kinds of, he's got like Scam School is the name of one of his shows. And then he's got another one called Modern Rogue. I looked at him for a long time and thought, wow, that's what I want to do. But he already did it already. So I can't do that. And I didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I read in the preface of one of Brian Brushwood's books on, magic trips or bar tricks and little scams and things like that, ways to earn a free drink. He had sort of a similar experience where he wanted to be like Penn and Teller. So he wrote a letter to Teller, and Teller responded. And Teller basically said, don't try and be us. Don't try and be Penn and Teller. Be Brian Brushwood. But figure out, what is Brian Brushwood? How does he bring his special spin to magic? And I've read that particular response. It's a lengthy response by Teller. It's just great, great reading. And I've read it repeatedly as I've tried to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I still love magic, and I love cooking. And I think the reason I love cooking is very often cooking is magic. This transformation of bringing raw ingredients together and turning them into something better, something, dare I say, magical. But I didn't want to be just like every other, how would I explain it? I didn't want to be a Alton Brown wannabe, or a Guy Fieri wannabe, or a Heston Blumenthal wannabe, or a Rick Bayless wannabe. There are a lot of people that I looked at and I enjoyed, but I didn't want to be a copycat. I wanted to be me. I also didn't want to be the standard sort of YouTuber, the too big personality. I think you know who I'm talking about. The people that they get all right up into the camera and they're doing crazy expressions and wow, look at me do this. I didn't want to be that guy. I just wanted to be Steve. And you could like Steve or you could hate Steve, but it's me, and that's who I want to be. And as a result, I've probably shared more than I should on YouTube. I've shared more of my personal life and things that make me sometimes a target for trolls and other people that want to really kind of come after me in the comments. And being Steve sometimes means I talk too much on my recipe videos. But that's just, I guess, a side effect of being a former instructor, a corporate teacher, is I want to make sure people understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But I think that's sort of how I got here. It's been the accumulation of desires for what I want to be when I grow up, as well as job history. It all kind of came together into this. And I say it repeatedly. I'm tremendously fortunate that it turned out this way because I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you are too. Now, in terms of the podcast itself and where we go in the future, I don't know if I'll continue to do weekly podcasts. I'm going to try, but I think I might start taking some of the topics that I have for podcasts and making them standalone videos, because I do get a lot of comments or questions or complaints that I think a standalone video could address. So, and some of these actually are things that I have covered in podcasts, like the price of keto and keto ingredients and commercial keto products. It could be my response to the ingredient police or people that are really, really dogmatic and zealous about keto and what is keto and what isn't keto. I'm trying to think. There's a number that are in my head, but as I think of them, I'm gonna have to write them down on my phone here just so I remember them. And I think then what I'll be able to do is, rather than respond to somebody, because it gets tiresome, typing the same thing over and over again, I can just link to some of these standalone videos that I hope will be not defensive, but rather thought-provoking. If we're talking about keto, or if we're talking about veganism, or if we're talking about the cost of ingredients, whatever it is, I want it to be something where people go, okay, I see that perspective. I may not agree, but I can understand now. So that's probably going to be something that you see going forward. Now, the final thing before I end this podcast, one of the requests that I keep getting is, Steve, why don't you play some guitar in one of your videos? And the reason for that is YouTube has a pretty smart algorithm thingy that can detect copyright violations. So when you put music in your videos, unless you have paid or gotten permission from the author of that music, that can get noticed by YouTube, and then they can give you a copyright strike, they can demonetize that video, they can take that video down. So one of the things I did in one of the previous podcasts, I have no idea which one it was, but I played Brain Damage by Pink Floyd on the ukulele. So I was fingerpicking the ukulele and did that. But in terms of other guitars, well, hang on for a second. Sometimes you see this one off to the side. This is an Ovation, and it's got this convex back. And for a number of years, I couldn't play it because I had a convex front, and with my belly and both the back of the guitar and my belly being round, it wound up at a really weird angle. But now I'm concave in the belly. And, oops, bang, that's gonna make some noise. So I don't know how much I can actually play before it would trigger any sort of a copyright violation. I wonder if I should back up so that you can see me a little bit better. I'm not even going to pretend to be a great guitarist. I'm average at best. Maybe okay around a campfire or something like that. It all comes down to practice, and I just don't practice enough because I'm doing this serious keto thing a lot. So we'll see what I can play here. I tend to go mostly rhythm guitar, so a lot of just chords. Let's see here. So I hadn't tuned the guitar half step down, so that would have been Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses if I had tuned a half step down. But here, we'll do something in standard tuning. And then, if Courtney were playing along with me, I could kick into the solo, which, let's see here. Something like that. It's been a while since I played, and my fingertips are just not nearly as calloused as they need to be. So I don't think that was nearly as impressive as either of us had hoped it would be. But there it is. Now I've played a little bit of guitar on one of my podcasts, and that, my friends, is going to be the end of this podcast. Number 100. Thank you, as always, for watching or listening.